Hello everybody and welcome to the December edition of the District Insider, a half-hour show dedicating to showing off the great people and events right here in the Bethlehem Area School District. I'm Joel Hendricks from Freedom High School and I'll be your host for today. In today's episode, we'll take a field trip with some fourth graders and make some noise at Northeast. But first, let's check in with Fountain Hill Elementary School.
Good morning, girls. Good morning, Hoffman. Let's have a great day. All right, here we go. Big smiles.
I think at Fountain Hill we are like a family. We are very good at building those relationships. I think teachers go out of their way to get to know their students. They get to know their families. Parents are welcome to come in and be a part of our school. Community members are able to come in, build those relationships up. The education we deliver here is very rigorous and I think it can be challenging, but I think it's those strong bonds and supportive relationships that even the staff has with each other that helps us meet the needs of our students every single day.
Did we get 10 cubes in all yet? Nope, so our game continues. Jackson, you may go.
So here at Fountain Hill Elementary, there's a huge sense of school pride. You can see that among staff, among students. Almost every day after school, we have former students who maybe now are at Brocco or at Liberty. They come back to pick up a little brother or sister or sometimes just to visit. And they want to see all of their teachers. They want to come in and talk to our principal and our secretaries. They want to see their old classroom. It's just a huge sense of family and community here at Fountain Hill.
In the morning, my son wakes up and he's excited to come to school, play with friends, learn. He loves math. I like the staff. I like the fact that everybody works together. My children have lots of friends. They've learned to make new friends. Everything is good about Fountain Hill.
Fountain Hill has been outstanding. I'm a New Yorker, and in New York City, we don't get the attention that the school gives us here at Fountain Hill. I've been here 9 years, and in the 9 years, I found that Fountain Hill has given back so much more, not only to the community, but as well as to my kids, as well as myself. And what I mean by that is my son is 11 years old, and in New York City, I would have never known unless been done by the teachers. And one thing that they did here is that they basically found out that my son is gifted. The fact that he's gifted, that means you're paying attention to my child. You're literally paying attention and seeing what are his special skills that he has and are pushing and helping him to do that. I've never been in a school that has done that before. And that being said, I cannot say anything more about Fountain Hill than the fact that the teachers are outstanding, the staff, and then just the curriculum that they have going, unbelievable.
Welcome to Fountain Hill Elementary School, where we take great pride in forming a warm and caring environment for all of our students and families.
We are a leader in me and community school. Our whole staff is committed to ensuring that our students become responsible citizens.
Our students, our families, are at the heart of everything we do.
Learn, lead, imagine, become. High ball!
Just another great school we have right here in the BASD. Next, let's follow along as some fourth graders take a trip back in time.
The Tales of the Towpath trip is a trip for fourth grade students. Students begin by reading the book Tales of the Towpath, which is about a young man comes from Ireland with his family in the mid-18th century, and eventually they settle on the Freemansburg Canal and make a life there on the Freemansburg Canal with a boat on the canal and a mule. So the trip itself is a chance for students to experience what they're learning about and what they're reading in the book. So they get to visit the canal, they get to learn what life was like on the canal, living during that time period in the mid-1800s. Things like making dye, gardening in the herb garden, using various tools, seeing the way in which a lock works on the canal, a canal lock. They really get to live what they're reading in the book, and then they get to come back to school and follow up on that experience with their teachers.
The fourth grade students from Bethlehem come to the Freemansburg Canal Education Center to experience what life might have been like for children back in the 1800s. The field trip that we operate here is geared toward teaching them children's responsibilities as part of a lock tender's family. Life in the 1800s was very different than it is in the 21st century, and that's what we try to impart to them through our lessons and the lesson activities. These activities reflect what they're learning in their Tales of the Towpath storybook, which is their textbook for the Tales of the Towpath curriculum. We also take the kids into the old lock tender's house, the 1829 lock tender's house, which is being restored. They get to go into the first floor, which is just one large open room, and they learn how a family lived in a small structure despite having 2 adults and many children. And then some of the activities that they do associated with the lock tender's house is churning butter and making sauerkraut, both activities that the children living there would have been involved in.
Well, one of the most impressive things to me personally, and I think to a lot of the kids, is we go into the mule barn, and there's a plastic mule there, and the kids get instruction on how to harness the mule. Now, the canal boats were pulled by 2 mules, and we read about this in the book. But they go into the barn, and up above, about maybe 8 feet up, is a hayloft kind of, with lots of hay in it. And when they hear that the kids who had to take care of the mule, this was Finn's brother, Finn is the main character in the book, when the kids who had to take care of the mules had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to harness the mules, to get the mules on the tow path, T-O-W, path, to tow the canals. And then they would work until sometimes 10 at night. You know, if you count the hours, that's 17, 18 hours. These kids are working. Finn himself cooked breakfast on the canal boat, and then they get a look at a model of a canal boat. They get a look at a model of a lock in the canal. Everything becomes real to them. They even get a chance to draw a picture of a mule. So they're actually seeing and touching things. So when they come back and read the book and we talk about the lock, they've manipulated a model about this big of a lock. They've opened the gates. It just becomes so much more real to them because they've looked, they've seen it, they've touched it, they've even smelled it. There's an herb garden and they pick herbs, and you know all the senses are engaged, and that's how kids learn best.
What we always hope for, within a curriculum and when we're teaching our students is that aha moment. And when you get them to be hands-on with a curriculum, you really see that aha moment when they return to school. Everything from the characters, the time period, again, the tools and the canal itself, getting to be outside and interact with the individuals who are leading the trip, interact with the actual physical environment. Kids really, really enjoy it. They come back. I think it really brings the book to life. And it's definitely a fan favorite amongst the 4th graders.
Next, let's head over to Northeast Middle School, where they know how to keep a beat.
War Percussion Ensemble, it's the highlight of my year, I think. I love doing it. We take songs that you might know. We took Amazing Grace and we mixed it with a Celtic bagpipe groove, and we also made it sound like it was from Africa at the same time. So we take all these different influences and ethnicities and combine them together. There are drums all around the world, and that's what we try to do. I held auditions for my 8th graders. A lot of students that try out are part of the chorus or part of the band, and that's fantastic, but why I open it up for everybody in the school, I go to the homerooms and I make announcements and I talk about that, it's because I want to get the kids that maybe they've never played an instrument before, but they have a good sense of rhythm. They have a good sense of beat. And I do an audition process that can find out the kids that have that, And a lot of the kids that try out, they've never touched a drum before, they've never touched an instrument before, they've never been in a music ensemble before, but they have a great sense of rhythm. And when they play for me, I can tell right away, oh, they need to be in world percussion. Everything that I'm playing, they're playing right back. I'm throwing tricky rhythms at them, throwing them right back at me. They don't even know that they're doing it. And when they come into the World Percussion Ensemble, they're able to groove. They're able to make music in a way that they've never made music before. There's smiles on their faces. The first time they're in a concert and they're nervous, they kind of don't know what to do, and then they start grooving and they see me smiling, they're like, oh, okay, you know, maybe we can relax. And then after they're done, they're like, that was so much fun. That was, you know, that they overcame that anxiety of performing, and they just let the music come out and they just have a blast. I'm smiling, you know, I feel like they're helping me more than I'm helping them. So I have a great time.
Next, December is a classic cookie making season, so we called upon our youngest correspondent to get the scoop on a treat that all of you can make at home.
Hi, I'm Violet, a 4th grader at Lincoln Elementary School. I have questions, people have answers. This is the Gray Area with Violet. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Singing, hanging out with friends, and lots of days off. And since we can't be on technology all of the time, we thought we'd show you something you can do at home with your family that's not only fun, but tastes great as well. Hi, we're here with Eva Howells, a consumer science teacher in the BASD. Hi Eva, what are we going to be doing today?
Hi Violet, today we're going to be making cake mix chocolate chip Santa cookies.
Sounds fun.
It's a lot of fun. The best thing about this recipe, it's super easy to make because your base is from the cake mix, but also you're gonna see when we get to the time that we add the sprinkles, we're using Christmas colors, but let's say it's Valentine's Day and you only wanna add red and white to make some Valentine's cookies, you could do the same. So the base is super simple and then you can put your little twists in when needed.
Okay.
So let's get started with the ingredients. We're both actually gonna make the recipe, so if you could grab 2 boxes of cake mix. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you could also grab the oil. We also need egg whites, so I will grab the eggs. A good recipe is nothing without chocolate, so let's grab the chocolate. And then of course we're making it holiday, so let's get some red, white, and green sprinkles. Okay, great. So now, to get started, we're each gonna get a big bowl.
Thank you.
And the first step is opening up our cake mix. So if you would like to open up your cake mix, and I will open up mine. Now I always say, best part about cooking is sometimes you make a mess. I have scissors here so that we can open the top, because sometimes when I make this at home with my 2 boys, we get the powder everywhere. Okay, the next thing we are going to need is egg whites. Now, the trick when it comes to doing egg whites is when you crack it, you want to crack it on the side of the bowl, and when you lift the top part up, don't dump it yet. You want to let the whites run off, and you can kind of pass the yolk back and forth so that the white falls down, just like that. And then this can go right inside our cake mix box. Do you want to give it a try?
Sure.
And then just toss it back and forth. Good, and then put that right in your cake mix box.
What makes this so easy?
So normally when you make cookies at home from scratch, you have to measure the flour, the salt, and the baking soda. Sometimes families don't have a lot of time to do that. So when we're using the cake mix as a base, it's something that it has all the ingredients in there already, and it makes it easier for young children to make at home. So if we continue on with the recipe, the next thing that we are going to have to add is 2 tablespoons flour. So I'm gonna grab the flour. Now, whenever we are measuring anything, we want to make sure that we level it off with our straight edge spatula. So I'm going to get 1 tablespoon, and in cooking terms, we call this heaping pile. So I'm just going to level it off, and I'm gonna add that. And then I'm gonna get another one and do it again. Your turn. So if we started from scratch, we would probably be measuring 2 cups of flour, some baking soda, and salt. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, the next thing that we have to measure is the oil. Whenever you are measuring liquids, you want the liquid measuring cup. You always find your measurement first, and we are going to be using 1/2 cup of oil. So I'm gonna put it on a flat surface, and I'm gonna know my mark, so there's the 1/2 cup. And I'm going to pour and check it at eye level to make sure that we have the right amount. So there's the 1/2 cup for me. And then
how many were we adding?
1/2 cup.
Okay.
And it's good to always double check to make sure that you have the right amount of ingredients. Because sometimes if you put too much, it might make it too wet or it might be too dry. So that was good that you checked that. Okay, good job. So now the recipe also calls for my favorite part, 3/4 cup chocolate chips. Now, if we only have this 1/4 cup, we're gonna fill it up 3 times so that we get 3/4 cup. Do you like chocolate?
Yes, I love chocolate.
And also, the good thing about this recipe is I love peanut butter. And they sell the Reese's peanut butter. I could switch, since my base stays the same, I could switch it out and I could add peanut butter instead. Okay. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. There you go.
One, 2, and 3.
Good job. So now we are going to take our wooden spoons and we are going to mix it until it looks like cookie dough.
So what kind of things will I get to do in consumer science class?
So when you get into 6th grade, you actually learn about proper eating habits, and we teach you about the My Plate. So about fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, dairy. And then some of the things that you actually get to cook in here are apple crescent bites, mini pizzas, chocolate chip goodies, which is like a chocolate chip muffin. And you can do dirt cups and oyster crackers. And the fun thing about family and consumer science class, there's also a sewing portion to it. So in 6th grade, you would actually get to make your very own small pillow.
Wow, sounds fun.
What's your favorite food?
Dessert-wise or just food-wise?
Just in general.
I like steak.
So steak is good because in family consumer science class, when you get into the higher grades, we actually teach you how to use a knife properly and safely because safety is super important.
Are we getting close to putting them in the oven?
Not quite yet. We have to do the finishing touch, and that is adding our Christmas colored sprinkles. So what we are gonna do is we are gonna get our 1/4 cup, and if your favorite color is red, then add a little more red in there, but we are just going to pour in red, white, and green sprinkles to fill up that cup.
Why red, white, and green?
So typical Christmas colors are red, white, and green. But like I said before, let's just say it's March Madness and your favorite team is the Kentucky Wildcats. I could make this cookie and add blue and white sprinkles so that I can support my team. So this is where you can give it your little pizzazz. So I'm gonna add a little red, and now I'm gonna add some green, and then I'm gonna top it off with some white.
Okay.
and then I'm gonna dump it in here, and while you're measuring yours out, I'm gonna start mixing mine.
Okay.
And once you have it mixed up really well, now it's the fun part where we get to roll them and put them on the cookie sheet, and I have parchment paper ready to go on our cookie sheet. So here is your cookie sheet.
Thank you.
And here is the parchment paper.
Thank you.
And this is mine.
Okay.
So
why do you use parchment paper?
So when we use parchment paper, it's to make the cleanup process a little bit easier, and also it protects the cookie sheet from getting, if maybe the cookies burn or anything, it's not actually getting stuck on the actual cookie sheet itself. It's only going to be on the parchment paper, so that when we're done baking them, all we have to do is lift this parchment paper, throw it away, and then it'll be an easy cleanup of the cookie tray. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make cookie balls. Don't make them too big or else they're not going to bake. So we're just going to make them about 1 to 2 inches, just like this. And then you just want to spread them out with 2 inches in between. We don't ever put them too close, otherwise they could bake into each other.
Is that good?
That's perfect. All right, Violet, they look great. Now it's time to get them in the oven. So when we put them in the oven, we make sure we have our oven mitts on. We open the oven door all the way. We pull this top rack out. We don't want to accidentally burn ourselves. And then with 2 hands, we are going to put them in the oven. And then I will pull this bottom rack out.
How long do they take to bake?
These take 8 to 10 minutes. So we're gonna set our timer for 8 minutes, and then we'll check them, and if they need a little more time, we'll add time, but if they're ready, we can take them out at 8 minutes.
Okay.
Can't wait. All right, Violet, mine were done. It's your turn to take yours out.
Okay. These look great. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Violet. And don't forget, this is an easy recipe that you can do at home, and I look forward to your opportunity to have Family Consumer Science class.
Thank you. These cookies taste great, are easy to make, and a fun thing to do with someone else. I can't wait to get to middle school and try to see what other things I can whip up in consumer sciences. For now, I need to get some milk for this great holiday treat. For the Gray Area, this is Violet signing off.
Hopefully Violet saved a few for me. Next, BASD Empower is in full swing, so we're going to check in with the important topic of screen time and students at BASD.
About a year ago, in the fall of 2018, there was a lot of media sensation around student screen time. And we studied that issue long and hard as the year went on last year, and the Bethlehem Area School District is committed to working in partnership with parents, our teachers, and community members to help our students develop a safe, discerning, and healthy relationship with technology. Screen time is a complex issue with no easy answers, but it's important to realize that not all screen time is created equal. We believe that screen time can be of very low quality, passive consumption only, all the way up to very high quality, which we would think of as in situations with collaborative content creation. So instead of students just consuming information and media, they're creating content on their own in a collaborative setting. So our commitment with respect to the BASD Empower one-to-one rollout and with all technology use within our schools is to have our teachers focus the tasks that students work on both in and beyond our classroom walls, focus that on the higher end of the screen time quality continuum. That's our commitment to our students moving forward.
Next up on our show, our cameras caught the annual tree lighting ceremony in downtown Bethlehem. Let's take a look at a few scenes from that. Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today's episode, but fret not. We'll be back next month with a whole new episode of District Insider. I'm Joel Hendricks from Freedom High School, and thank you for watching.